Okay, guys, how's it going today? So today we're looking at Michael Golden's Micronauts Artist Edition from IDW. So let's get right into it. Okay, so today we have Michael Golden's Micronauts Artist Edition from IDW and Marvel Comics. I guess Hasbro should be included in this as well, as they're the licensee, whatever, of Micronauts is their property. And I guess they started out with Mego toys. If you were alive in the 70s and the 80s, or you probably knew about the Micronauts. They were the like the GoBots or the Transformers of you know, predecessor to that. So I remember, I mean, I had very limited Micronauts when I was little, and actually, I love Michael Golden's art, but I did not collect his Micronaut series, so I'm pretty geeked to have this because it's really cool. My brother was more of a Micronauts fan, and I probably read some of his issues, but Michael Golden is just a really great artist who's been around for, since the 70s and the 80s. He started out in advertising, commercial art, and then moved to comic books. He started at DC, and the story goes they lured him over to Marvel with by giving him Micronauts, and apparently he did not like to draw superheroes. Heaven forfend, right? What's up, Michael Golden? But anyway, he was given Micronauts, and because there would be no superheroes in it. And the agreement that Hasbro and Marvel worked out is that the Marvel Comics characters could guest star in the Micronauts, but the Micronauts could not guest star in any of the Marvel books. So there will be superheroes in here, much to Michael Golden's chagrin, and I think that's actually what made him leave the book. So I just love Michael Golden. I think the first time I experienced his art was Avengers Annual 10, which is a very um, famous kind of comic book, most notably because it's the first appearance of Rogue from the X-Men. Not to mention, it's also the story where Rogue takes away Carol Danvers slash Miss Marvel's powers, and so creating a lifelong enemy and you know, uh, stuff like that. But the art in that was just absolutely gorgeous, and that's post this. So this art is really good. I feel like the inking could be a little tighter. Um, Look at how just amazing. Like, look at all the detail that goes into this. I mean, he's a real draftsman and just a real classical artist. You can definitely tell that he was trained because his anatomy looks so spot on, like statues almost. Um, there was a cool X-Men Micronauts miniseries in the 80s, so I did get that. It was not illustrated by Michael Golden. I believe it was illustrated by Butch Juice, who is kind of looks like Michael Golden might have been an influence on him. He influenced a lot of artists. Art Adams was definitely influenced by him, and if you look at a lot of Art Adams' earlier stuff, you can definitely see the the Michael Golden influence. Biotron, I always wanted Biotron. Marionette, she was not part of the toy line, but Michael Golden created her for this story, for this book. The writer Bill Mantlo was a very lucrative writer in comic books in the 70s and the 80s. My favorite thing from Bill Mantlo was Cloak and Dagger, but he also took over Alpha Flight when John Byrne left, and as a huge John Byrne Alpha Flight fan, we don't talk about that era. Anyway, here's the little roll call. I love how they do these little things. It's just flourishes like this that, I don't know, just made comics so great for me when that really got me into them. Like the little roll call at the bottom of the um, page. There's Bug. He was a very popular character. Very cool design. I'm guessing there must be some sort of licensing issue because if any property was begging to make a comeback or to have some sort of, movie or remake, it's definitely the frickin' Micronauts. And look at this beautiful cover, Micronauts issue 7, 40 cents. Can you imagine, guys, that comic books were only 40 cents back then? This is before my time. I'm not that old. But 40 cents. I mean, like, multiply that by what? 3,000% for today's prices. Um, that's, I think, is one of the huge problems with comic books. They should make them more affordable. I mean, comics sold in the millions, yeah, when they were a dime. But I mean, it's like get your money from advertising or something. It's like well, I mean, they're not really asking for my advice, but I think like digital comic books should be like 99 cents or $1.99 at the most, and then people would buy a hell of a lot more. The artist edition here includes full issues, which is very cool. Um, I don't know. I just love the type of storytelling and the way comics were presented in the 80s. You know, like you get this kind of montage stuff going on. Uh, just beautiful line work. Just there's so much. You know, they do everything's digital now, and these were reproduced from the actual pages, so you can see like this is actually a color book, believe it or not, because they're color scans, so that they can show you what this is as close as you'll get to holding the actual art in your hands, and it's just such a treat for someone who will probably never get the actual art in your hands. It's great to see. You know, the thickness of the lines and how everything looks big blown up, because I guess that's one of the things that you go through as a penciler, seeing your art published for the first time. It looks different, and you learn tricks on how, you know, how to draw things, knowing that it's going to be reduced in size and bring the details together and things like that. It's kind of amazing, all the detail that is in this. It's like uh, they should have got paid by the pen stroke and not the page, because my god, they'd be rolling in the dough. I mean, these are beautiful. I love the way Michael Golden draws eyes. I think that a lot of artists were probably influenced by that. Very cool Man Thing. Marvel's version of Swamp Thing. The chicken or the egg, I don't know which one was first, but it seems like there's a lot of that going on in comic books. There's always some sort of counterpart for DC and Marvel in their, you know, legendary rivalry. I think that's Captain Universe, if I'm correct. I love some color here. Michael Golden probably colored that. He's a great colorist as well. I think he works digital now. You might know him from all the great Batman covers he did for the longest time. He draws an excellent Batman. I think he was drawing some Batman stuff before he came over to Marvel. And he went on to do the Nom comic book. I think he did a fairly lengthy run on that. And not a big fan of war comics, but I collected it for Michael Golden's art, because he just puts in so much detail and just such really pretty art, just beautiful to look at. And the funny thing is that you know, the artists from the 70s and the 80s weren't like show-offs. They were like there to tell the story. And unfortunately, I wish they would have showed off a little bit more, because, you know, all the splash pages or the big images like this are just like, you know, that's the money shot that we want. That is so freaking cool. Baron something? All the bad guys are barons. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not so much on the Micronaut tip. And I read in the introduction to this that some of the proceeds from this book are going to the lifelong care of the writer of this and co-creator Bill Mantlo, because unfortunately several years ago he was in a terrible accident. I believe he was hit by a car, which left him needing care for the rest of his life. So that cut his writing career short, and it's very sad, because he's was a big contributor to comic books in the 80s, and just I always enjoyed his writing. So I'm glad that they're trying to help take care of him. He deserves it. Space. It's so funny. I noticed that when I was thumbing through it. This just came out. I got it yesterday, and I guess one good thing to come out of 2020, right, guys? But how they had to draw the space and all the black and the stars, and that must have been like so time consuming and laborious. Now they just drop it in with fill buckets and stuff, and you know, hey, I'm all for efficiency, so. But just loving all this art. I'm very happy I got this. So some of these pictures are, if you see the color here, they did color holds in comics, where they the the artist would draw like another image, like so you could get sort of like a double image and draw it on vellum, which is like the clear see-through paper, and then they would tape it on top of that and drop out the color. It sounded kind of like an arduous process for something that can be done so easily these days. Another great splash page. I was just complaining about not enough of those, but there's one. This character is very cool. I think his name is Acroyer. But you don't see Micronauts mentioned too much. Love that great shot of bug there. But I definitely, maybe they have more of a cult following or something. It definitely would help. You know, I'm not for cheesy remakes or redoing, but I think that I mean, why shouldn't this generation be able to experience the Micronauts? I always thought that they were so cool and fun, and just, you know, me and my brother had all our little toys, and Micronauts were definitely one of the favorites. It's just such a great illustrator. Farrah Fawcett hair, you can tell it was the 70s. Michael Golden, what else can I say? Oh, look at this great, I don't know who designed the logo, but I love this logo, very iconic. I love the little heads I loved Marvel's little corner box heads. They were just always so much fun. Especially like when they would change, if someone would get a new costume or a new addition to the team or something. But Michael Golden is very well respected. And it's funny because reading an interview with him was kind of weird to hear that he wasn't really much into comics, didn't really like superheroes that much. And it's funny that when someone's so talented like that and brings so much to the game, and they don't have, you know, a huge passion for it. I mean, obviously he has a passion for art. I mean, this stuff is beautiful. Very influential on a lot of artists. My pal Jason Pearson loves Michael Golden, and he actually did the covers for the Body Bags miniseries, the first Body Bags miniseries, which was very cool. That must have been cool to work with one of your heroes like that. He also did an obscure Jackie Chan comic book that, as much as I like his art, I didn't feel the need to really pick that up. So maybe I should go look it up. I'm sure it's fun to look at, just like this is. So I'm hoping that he also had like a pretty memorable, decent run on Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was really lucky to have some great artists. You know, of course, Doctor Strange, this looks like it could be in a Doctor Strange comic book, very ethereal, magic, mumbo jumbo. But I was saying Doctor Strange has had a lot of great artists like Paul Smith, and of course Steve Ditko, the creator, and I think Marshall Rogers did a lot of Doctor Strange stuff too. And Kevin Nolan, one of my other favorite artists, did a lot of covers when Doctor Strange shared that book with Cloak and Dagger back in the 80s. So they come from inner space is the tagline for these Micronauts, and there's a lot of space going on. What a great cover. I love when, this is something he does a lot more now, I think, and is, like, you see all this detail but no blacks in the background. He did a whole story like that for, there was a X-Men Unlimited mini-series, or series actually, that had like obscure X-Men stories and top tier talent doing it, and he did a great story in there. I think it was featured Jean Grey, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. Just, it's fun to see the art. I think there was a few different inkers on this. Joseph Rubinstein, very well-known famous inker over the years. Al Milgrom inked some of this, and I think Michael Golden himself inked some of it. He would go on to work with Terry Austin, who did really great inks on his works, and Armando Gil, who just, I think, was one of his best inkers, just really in sync. Michael Golden did this great X-Men story for Marvel Fanfare back in the day, and the art is just breathtakingly gorgeous. So, go through this quick. It's kind of interesting. There's some more pinups and stuff in the back that we'll get to. So, here we go. This is some, I don't know what this is, maybe some mock-up cover art or something like that, but very cool. Love the colors in her costumes. Very cool covers here. I love the screens and the zips that they would have to cut out and lay down on top of the art. Another cool corner box. I love all the notes to the editor and the production notes, like the page number, issue number, the bleed area. So what's up, Marvel? Where's the next Micronauts? Although, I mean, hasn't Disney bought them by now? You would think, right? Such beautiful art. It just makes you want to pick up your pencil and draw, huh? I mean, just the amount of detail and the time that must have been put into this, you know, clearly a labor of love. I mean, the details are just, you know, kind of awe-inspiring to see. Definitely makes you want to be a better artist when you, I always loved Michael Golden. He was definitely, maybe not one of my major influences, but he was always there in the back of my mind. Great corner box heads that I was talking about earlier. You can see like the whiteout and the pen marks and stuff like that. There's some color action going on here. This is a great team shot there. I don't know what that is, but very cool. Lots of great art through here. Oh, this is kind of cool. These are like the teasers that they would run as ads in the comic books. The Micronauts are coming from Bill Mantlo and Michael Golden. How exciting that must have been to see that when you were thumbing through your Captain America or whatever back in the day. Some really great, unique, innovative designs and stuff. Look at all that detail. I mean, that is definitely putting in the work and doing the research and great mastery of lighting. Such great faces he draws. Here we get to see some of the pencils by themselves. I mean, it's all there. It must have been like so intimidating yet rewarding to ink his artwork, because I don't know, just to go over those lines and see all the little nuances. And I just love like how the inkers would do just so many different variations to get different tones and everything. Coloring in comics was kind of crap back in the day, so they would just do basic flats, and you know, obviously they didn't have the color, the computer coloring that we're so blessed to have now, because it really ups the game for a lot of artists, I think. I like to draw traditionally, but having gotten into some computer art, it is fun. All the tricks you can do, it's pretty amazing. How many of this, like you can just do so many effects and just so many different, you know, tricks of the trade. You know, I mean, they would cut out and paste on the page and stuff that would be completely unheard of. I think that is the downside of roll call. I think that is the downside of computer arts. As everyone knows, you don't have an original page to sell, and you know, that's sad, because there's just something about, especially the, you know, the rawness you get of the original art, and just you can't quite capture it digitally, whatever it is. But I mean, hey, digital's amazing, so it's not going anywhere. So love it. I'd say love it or leave it, but you can't leave it because here it is, kids. Um, it's funny, I guess I'm an old fogey or traditional or old fashioned, but I don't know. It just warms my heart to see all this old traditional art and just the actual, every pen you see, pen mark, every pencil mark, you know, was put on this page by a physical artist, not the click of a button. So, I mean, it definitely, it's funny because I think I had mentioned that Michael Golden, like a lot of the artists in the 70s and 80s came from commercial art. And especially Neil Adams was known for bringing a lot of that, you know, commercial art aesthetic to the comic world. Uh, so I think that Michael Golden did 12 issues of Micronauts, and that was all he could take. So he jumped ship. I don't know how. I think the book had a fairly lengthy, successful run. Very cool. I'm hoping that they do a book like this, IDW, of like Doctor Strange or some of Michael Golden's other works. I'd even take the Nam just because, even though I'm not super into war stories or anything like that, his art had just really reached such a high point by that time in his career. This is a lot of his earlier stuff, so it's still super solid and gorgeous and awe-inspiring, but you can definitely see, you know, how, as many artists do, improve over time. Just a little cat there. That's another thing you have to remember. If you want to be a comic book artist, you have to be able to know how to draw everything, because you never know what your crazy writer is going to ask you to draw. I love, you gotta love a good, like, robot with awesome musculature. I guess they were very into this sort of roll call thing, which is, you know, very telling of the times, because I don't know who the editor was, but I think Stan Lee started it, and Jim Shooter definitely promoted the idea that, you know, every time you pick up time you make a comic book, it's someone's first comic book, so you have to introduce the characters, you have to explain their powers if they have powers, you have to explain something of their backstory if it's necessary, and try to do it in a way that doesn't bore your, you know, your consistent readers. And I don't know what Michael Golden is up to these days, but I guess it wouldn't be too hard to figure that out. But there's that group shot. They did it for the end piece here. And this is just another amazing, beautiful book from IDW. And I definitely, if you're into art or an artist, I couldn't recommend these books more, because they're just so gorgeous and such a great up-close and personal look at, you know, the process and just sort of, you know, how things are done. I mean, look how big this is. So comics were drawn at this size. I suppose they still are if you're doing traditional art, but, you know, I think digital has changed up the game. Anyway, thanks for checking this out. Michael Golden is a great artist. If you don't look up the Micronauts, you should definitely check him out. I'm sure a lot of people are already well aware of him. So if you like my video, please, please, please subscribe to my channel. It helps so much to make more videos, and like this. And I don't know who's next, but we'll find out. Alright, thanks guys. Have a good one.